and welcome back to part 2 of my Epworth eventing vlogs, although I'm not doing this one in normal event format, which I'll explain right now. So we are back, and today is a donuts day. However, I am filming this from well in the future, just because I could put it up as a vlog, but I actually thought it would work better to have a chat with you guys and give you a bit more of an update on him. So if you are invested, as he's scratching on me, I've just ridden him, he's had a bath. If you are invested in his journey, you'll know that this time last year, we had just jumped around our first 2-star, hadn't we, Mr. Nut? And he'd been amazing. We had 20 penalties cross country because I'd been held on course and he came out like a fire-breathing dragon after being held, and we had a few technical fences left to jump. But he'd overall been absolutely incredible, and I'd hoped that this season we'd do more of that and maybe even look at stepping up to intermediate. However, Donut has done a sum total of 3 events this season because he's just had some little niggles going on, which has been frustrating, but I kind of knew that we'd get this at some point because guys, I paid £1 for him, didn't I? And he has been worth that £1 and much more. I'm just going to take his head collar off, otherwise Teddy's going to do it for us. So he's been worth his weight in gold, to be honest. He's the most incredible horse and he does not owe me a thing ever. But of course we wanted to get him sound and comfortable, and Donut is most happy when he's going out and about. And if you've been following along this year, I've already explained to you that he's been to the vets, we've done the full workup. We've never found anything particularly major, but we have just found a few little niggles that I'm now working on managing and getting him strong again, because he lost all of his top line and muscle. So I took him to Solihull, had a lovely time there. He's a little bit of a wild child, but amazing. And then the week after, I took him to Epworth, which was the last weekend in August. But it is now the start of October, because I've been a busy bee and not been very good at keeping up with my editing. Very sorry for that. But boys, can we stop arguing, please? Please. Got Teddy Bear in there and they're just doing toddler stuff. But I'm gonna, come on, don't get distracted, Evie, crack on. So yeah, timeline. 2-star last year, had niggles, been to the vet, now got lovely all clear, but also trying to get him strong because he's been niggly for quite a while. And he was definitely well and truly back at Solihull. I then sent to Epworth, and it was the week after, which I hadn't thought would be an issue because he runs fine 2 weeks on a trot usually. But what I hadn't really thought about was how he's just coming back and we were using it for strengthening. So it was possibly a bit close. And yeah, we went. He was a little bit flatter for the dressage, which is where I'd been thinking, oh, possibly a little bit close. He did a nice test. It was a section full of professionals, but we were up in the top half. And yeah, overall did fine. But he did just feel a little bit flatter, even though he was relatively comfortable in his body. So went on to the show jumping, and it's quite a deep surface there, but he only had a pole down. He jumped quite nicely in the show jumping, didn't you, Mr. Nut? He says, yes, I did. But again, he didn't, even though he only had one pole down, he actually didn't feel as good as he felt when I took him around Solihull. And it was just still feeling a bit flat and like it was harder work than normal. So I was a bit like, oh. And we were there, and I think if I hadn't taken him cross country, he'd have been very sorely disappointed. So I went and headed off cross country, and again he was fine. But like as I'd walked the course, I'd been thinking, oh, that novice would be a walk in the park for Donut. It wouldn't be any trouble whatsoever. But, you know, glad I've entered him for the 100 because we're still getting him strong and we're just taking him out for a bit of a jolly so that he knows that he's loved still, because he really does love going out on the lorry and getting to go eventing. Like, you've never seen a happier horse than Donut going eventing. So, yeah, went and started off cross country. It was okay. And I don't know if it was because the cross country was a bit small or whether it was how he was feeling, but he wasn't giving me the best feeling in the world over a fence. It was just a little bit less scopy than usual. But yeah, just went out and it just felt a bit scrappy and just not quite Donut's usual cross-country self. And I knew he hadn't forgotten anything because he'd gone and flown around Solihull like a wild child the week before. So we actually got to a ditch combination that was causing a lot of trouble and... Stop it, please. It was causing a lot of trouble, and it was just a ditch in the middle of nowhere, and he actually had a stop at it, and it wasn't so much as a stop as a bah, and turned around and ran the other way. I literally just spun around, and I was quite happy that I'd sat it because you were a bit sharp with that. So after that, I just stopped him, turned him back, represented, popped over the ditch, popped over the brush that came after the ditch, and then I pulled up because I was just like, this isn't him anymore. He is Ditchy Donut. He's always Ditchy Donut, but normally I can get him over a ditch. That's not normally an issue. So I was like, he's just not feeling it today, and we'll go figure out what it is. So we decided to take him home. We did the usual drill of going and trotting him up after taking him home. My muck heap's about to be taken away. We're going to have to pause this and come back after the muck heap's been removed because it's going to be too loud. Oh no, I was incorrect. It's not being taken away. Now I'm sad. Anyway, so yeah, I pulled him up and was just like, let's just go home. I was only doing it for a fitness run. I actually got stopped by the steward as I pulled him up, and they just said, are you okay? Like, he looked like he was galloping fine. I was like, yeah, it's fine. He's only out to gain fitness and muscle, and we had a stop, so I've decided to pull up. Was literally next to the lorry park, so I was able just to walk straight back into the lorry park, which was nice and easy. Took him home, trotted him up when we got home just to check that he hadn't like got too sore going to the event or anything. Trotted up sound, which was a big relief, but I was like, but it doesn't explain why he's not feeling himself. He normally loves his eventing. So what I said to Mum, and we'd had quite a lengthy chat on the way home, and he doesn't show symptoms. He maintains his weight well. He lets me put leg on him, although he is quite sharp off the leg. He looks shiny, he looks healthy, all of that. But I just said to Mum, occasionally when I'm tacking him up, he looks at me when I do his girth up. He doesn't try to bite me, he doesn't pull a face, he just looks at me. Like literally just turns his head and looks at me, like he's looking at Teddy right now. Sorry, I'm having to jump in with a voiceover, guys, as I edit because the tractor noise outside is so loud. I hadn't realised it would pick up quite so well on the microphone, but you can hear what I'm saying, but it's awfully annoying in the background. So basically, I turned around and said to Mum, I think, just to be square, I think we should get him scoped. And it just seemed like a sensible thing given that he's had these niggles going on, so there's the possibility of a cause there, and also the cause of whatever his history was, being on different livery yards and stuff. I don't know what their management was. Even though the symptoms were minimal, Donnie's quite a brave boy. He doesn't really tell you a huge amount, which is why I'm so careful about watching him. So we chose to get him scoped, and of course, as usually is the way, by the time you decide to get something like this done, you tend to be 99% on the job. Like, the only time I've ever decided to scope a horse and have not had ulcers was when Maggie was 7, and I was amazed. I'm still not sure that there wasn't something missed that time, to be quite honest, because she was like all the symptoms there with being sort of like stressy and stuff. Anyway, so we got that done. He did have ulcers. They were quite bad. There were some where it appeared like they were sort of old ones, probably from his management and his history, and there were some where they looked newer. And as Alex, my vet, pointed out, he actually also had his trip to Newmarket, which he spent 3 days there with endless nerve blocks and doing all sorts of things. Even that can be enough stress to cause a horse ulcers. So anyway, we went ahead with a treatment program. We did 4 weeks of omeprazole injections, so an injection a week.
which I've never had done before, but seemed to work really well and was really easy compared to doing the oral syringes with the paste. And then we're also rescoped, and he's reacted really well, and we're really pleased with the results. But we're now using the paste to also wean him off, and he's on the sucralfate powder. But really pleased that I did get him scoped, just to sort of dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and he is doing so much better now.
I was faced with the decision whether I do any more events this season, but to be quite honest, he's 12 years old. He's 13 next year. Don't be rude. He's 13 next year, and I want to get as much longevity out of him as I can, and he doesn't really need to jump around 100s. He jumps around them all day long, stood on his head, providing he's feeling okay. So I've actually made the decision he's not going to event anymore at all this season. I was wondering about just popping him around a 100 at Tetworth at the end of the season, but actually I think it's going to be better just to spend the time getting him nice and strong. He's looking much better than he was, but we're October now, so we're like 5 months from March, which will be first events of the season. I've got a stringent plan in place to try and make sure that he doesn't get abscesses. So he's basically not going to go out as much. He's itching. This is because I've had a bath. So he's not going to go out as much, particularly not if it rains. He's going on the walker more, he's being worked more, and he's going to be worked solidly through winter. I've also popped him on to Farrier's formula for his feet, and I'm doing foot dressing for him every other day, and garlic as well, because it's just good for their system. So overall, I've just tried my absolute best, and I'm hoping we'll avoid the abscesses because he doesn't get them through summer. So realistically, it obviously is when his feet get too wet, so he's just going to have like a bit less time out in a day if it's soggy out there. But if that means he doesn't get the abscesses, it means that he gets to work more and do more of what he enjoys. And I think you do have to manage them on a horse by horse basis, because the last 2 winters I have not got it right. We took his pads off last winter, that didn't work. The winter before didn't work after moving here. And when we thought back to it, before we moved here, we had a field shelter, and he always used to be in his field shelter, always, and it had rubber matting in there, so I think he just spent a lot of time stood in. So yeah, we've got that plan. I'm planning on having lots of lessons. I've registered him BS, and he's been out show jumping twice already to Valeview, and he's going to go out at the weekend, so he's like nipping out with Maggie to go and pop round, just 1 round at a time at the minute, just while he's building up his strength and getting super duper strong. And yeah, I'm hoping we come out next season all guns blazing, straight out at novice, and then I'm going to register FEI early on, providing I can afford it, and he's feeling good, and we're going to have a great season. Touching the word. So that's the plan. I just thought it would be good to update you rather than just going through on an event vlog, because I was using them as training days anyway, fitting days for him to go out and enjoy himself. But it was, one of those things where I was just like, he was fine, but it wasn't himself. It wasn't the usual buzz that I get from him cross country. And we've gone away, we've gone and done the investigation, we found what's wrong. But no, I'm pleased to report he is feeling absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, you'll be seeing plenty of him over winter in preparation for next summer, because he's ticked over this year. He's been out hacking and stuff to try and keep him strong, but he's not barely done anything this year. So yeah, all the horses basically are working through winter, so there's going to be plenty to see, but I thought it was important to do this update. I hope you found it interesting, and I will catch you very, very soon.